Grieve on the daily. Make time every day to grieve. Make grieving out of everyday gestures. Make folding the laundry grieving. Make sweeping the floor grieving. Make dancing grieving. Crying is beneficial but not required. Just say, I'm grieving right now while you are doing whatever you are doing. Say what it is you are grieving and be specific. I'm grieving gun violence. I'm grieving another Black person killed by police. I'm grieving Black bodies left in the street. I'm still grieving slavery. I'm grieving enslaved people buried in unmarked graves. I'm grieving grief that was never grieved. I'm grieving the Buffalo massacres. I'm grieving that I stand here on stolen land. I'm grieving the existential crisis that is this country, America, Turtle Island. I'm grieving gold and Black things, extractions and commodities of the colonial project. I'm grieving hairdressers who keep trying to colonize my hair. I'm grieving my auntie who died, but no one wanted to say she died. So we stood around her dead body, knowing what we didn't want to know, as if we didn't know it. I'm grieving friends and teachers who all died this year. I'm grieving so many people with cancer. I'm grieving pussy grabbing. I'm grieving the rape of my mother, my friends. I'm grieving the little girl that I was before. I'm grieving women violated on the front steps of their homes. I'm grieving the murder of trans women and men, of gender nonconforming people trying to survive in a binary world. I'm grieving that I have to think twice before I kiss my person in public. I'm grieving love being criminalized. I'm grieving queer people murdered on the dance floor. I'm grieving 49 dead. I'm grieving the ghost ship and those last text messages and phone calls made to family, friends, mothers, and fathers that said simply, I love you. I'm grieving the way the depth and width of one wound is measured against the depth and width of another. Must the woundedness be a hierarchy too? Grieve with instead of for. Do your own grief work. Don't steal other people's grief because you feel guilty or ashamed. Don't run away from your grief. Don't dump your grief on other people. I'm grieving a lineage of songs, the songs of laboring, of birthing, of loving, of fighting, of weeping, wailing, and keening. The old songs of the Irish, the German, the English, the African, and the Black women from which I both descend and arise. Grieve near water if possible, the ocean, the sea, the river, perhaps the Volta, the Yuba, the Cannonball, the Missouri, or the Tallahatchie. Grieve a trail of tears. Grieve the Ma'afa. Grieve the cotton gin fan that sunk the body in the river. Grieve the abducted body wrapped with barbed wire. Grieve the mutilated body whose face was no longer recognizable. Grieve the body beaten, abused, shot in the head, eye gouged out. Grieve a boy's body found 3 days later. Grieve that we needed to see the body 3 weeks later in an open casket, encased in glass. Grieve the mother that needed us to see her son's body. Grieve the body exhumed 49 years later because, again, we needed to see the body. Grieve the abstraction of paintings, of numbers, of words, of syllables that fail in the face of death. Grieve the attempt to make meaning of death, that we do not know the meaning already. Grieve so your children won't have to do it for you. Grieve so your children's children won't have to do it for you. Grieve so your children's children's children won't have to do it for you. Grieve so your children's 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 children and their children and theirs and theirs and theirs and theirs won't have to do it for you. Grieve near water, your kitchen sink as you do dishes, a puddle in the street. Make a grief ritual wherever you are. Invite your dead people to witness you. When others, the living, see you are grieving, they might think you are crazy. They might call you crazy. You are not. They might think you have lost it, whatever it is. They might think you have come undone. Maybe you have, finally. Grieve because you love. Grieve because you are alive. Grieve because you are a human being in a body, breathing in and breathing out. 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 Breathing in and breathing out.